So this whole journey of life, or rather consists of four key, should I say stations, should I say phases, whatever you may want to call them. The first phase of this life is a word which we use very often, which is a little scary, but which is very fundamental to our existence, and that word is karma. We all play the game of football, right? Football here is a little different from football in India. Football in India, you cannot touch hands to the football. If you touch the hand to the ball, it's a foul. Here you have to play football only with the hand and snatch it with both your hands and run away. So it's a little different. I came to know here, I said, why are these guys playing football with their hands? This is American football. So in India, if you touch your hand to the ball, you get a foul. Right? Who's observing you? The referee. You get a red card, foul, he has a whistle in his mouth, blows it, and the game stops, and you get a warning, and then you're disqualified. Same is the case in the game of cricket. Not popular here, but you have an umpire who decides whether you are out, you've got a 4, you've got a 6, you've got a wide, you've got a leg before wicket. There are so many nuances to the game of cricket. The umpire decides that. Every kick, every shot is being monitored. Does the player need to tell the referee that I have hit a goal, now you should announce that it's a goal? Yes? No. Because it's the referee's job to do that, right? The cricketer doesn't need to tell the umpire that I have hit a 4. The umpire sees it's a 4. He gives the indication that the batsman has hit 4 runs. Similarly, in this game of life, God is the referee. God is the umpire. He is observing every small and big action and activity that we are undertaking. We have got into this habit of telling our master, I did this, you still haven't rewarded me. I did this, you still haven't given me the result and the outcome of that. We do not need to tell him what he needs to do, because creation is built on such strong principles that all that is good is rewarded equally and all that is bad is corrected with equal precision. Our job as the good cricketer should be to constantly play our game well, so that we can score as much as possible in a particular lifetime. That's the fundamental nature of the principle of karma. It is said in our belief system that when the soul leaves the body, what goes with the body, the prana shakti, are your karmas and your strong desires, unfulfilled, unfinished desires, leave the body along with your breath or prana shakti. And that comes back when that Atma or Prana Shakti enters a new body as a newborn baby. So every individual is carrying the karmas, the vasanas and the samskaras, meaning your actions and the good and bad virtues or vices that you have accumulated over lifetimes, over several janmas. And the whole objective of life is to face this just as the batsman faces every ball with courage and ensure that you do your best. The problem is that some of these tendencies in us are extremely deep-rooted. Your negative tendencies are like the onion which is sown in the soil of camphor and is fed with musk fertilizers, but yet it never loses its sting as that of an onion. Similarly are the tendencies with which we are born. They are so deep-rooted, they are so extremely ingrained in our psyche that come what may, whatever we do, it's extremely difficult to give them up. And that's proof enough that we've all evolved from the animal kingdom, because you have the little bit of the dog in you, the little bit of the wolf in you, the little bit of the tiger in you, and that's evident in your greed, in your impatience, and in your arrogance, because these are animal qualities. You see why we have these, you see how these are carried forward, and you see what role we need to play in each of these. But the problem is, we forget that we are the carriers of this. Whom do we blame for all of this? Whatever happens that is happening to me is his fault. Right? It's just like telling the postman, whatever is the content of the letter is your fault. The postman is responsible for every bad news we get in the letter. If you are fired and that letter is posted to you, you blame the postman, thrash him and make him responsible. Do we do that? No. If we get a promotion and that is communicated to us in the letter, do we give chocolates, Ferrero Rocher and lit chocolates to the postman? Why should we? He didn't do it. We did it. Right? Just as the postman is not responsible for the good and bad news in the letter which comes to our post box, God is not responsible for all the good and bad that occurs to us. God is like a postman. You get what you have yourself earned for yourself. He only ensures that it is accomplished, just like the postman belonging to the US Postal Service accomplishes the task given to you. However, there is a difference. The postman cannot change the contents of the letter. But if you pray and you have sincere earning and yearning, God has the power to change the contents of the letter delivered to you. I believe in your retreat there was an elaborate exposition on karma and its various varieties. The Jain religion talks about the Ashtakarma Siddhanta. There are 8 different types of karma and how they are earned and how they have to be undergone. In Sanatana Dharma, karma is divided into 3 categories. You have Prarabdha karma, you have Sanchita karma, you have Agami karma. Sanchita karma is like your accumulated bank balance. Prarabdha karma is that money which you have withdrawn for spending. Agami karma is that you have invested for the future. These are the 3 categories of karmas that we have. Each one of us are constantly in the process of undergoing, earning and spending. So I would encourage reading of 2 books. One is a series of books by Dr. Brian Weiss. If you haven't yet read, please read. The first one is Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. The second one is Many Mansions by Edgar Cayce. Both of these are quasi-scientific books. Both of them communicate the principles of karma and how they influence our life on a daily basis. We usually think that all of these things are there in the scriptures. What is the proof in real life from a scientific perspective? So these are parapsychologists who through human experiments have been able to come to conclusions which resonate exactly with that which is mentioned in our scriptures. Please read them and you will be benefited from much greater clarity.